So today we're still talking about two illnesses. The first one, we call it systemic lupus, or sometimes we use the short name SLE. So truly this illness is not only happens in the bone and the muscles, even on the skin and on some internal organs. So like if you see this picture, this woman is pretty red on the face area. Some skin kind of rushing there and very dry around the eyes area and the cheek part of the face area. But not only. They will have a lot of other symptoms for this illness. So then we see SLE is what kind of illness. The reason cause this illness is relationship with autoimmunity disorder. When we talking about autoimmunity disorder, we're talking about people's immunity systems against itself cells or tissues. We say normal function of the immunity system will protect it of ourselves against the passenger evading. But for some reasons, some mistake happens, or the immunity systems will not identify itself cells or tissues. Then thinking about that cells or tissues coming from other people or outside of the body, then they will be against it and block it and cause problems of it. So that's basically belong to autoimmunity disorder. So generally speaking, they will cause the inflammation of the tissues. These illness, they especially against the connective tissue. We know connective tissue look like an area of the body. So that cause the symptoms look like they could go to area. So autoimmunity system disorder right now, basically we still not clear yet why it causes, why people's immunity systems get some trouble. We truly don't know it. But we find these kind of patient, most people is the female. 90% female person, yeah. Female people is easily got it. And especially in young people, like we're talking about 20, 30, 40, it's not go to aging the people. Occasionally happen in children or aging people, but mostly is young women. So these illness we're talking about, they affected a lot of different parts of the body, can cause a lot of different symptoms depending they are against. But most people, they will go out like a joint pain. So that's why we put in this category. And multiple joints, like arthritis. This illness development is slowly. It's not like immediately got severe kind of problems, but they can be start from fewer, and later on they got more and more symptoms. They can come in like months or years, and gradually getting worse and worse, and cause a lot of symptoms. So that's generally we're talking about this illness. So we say this illness is autoimmunity disorder, and generally they cause the inflammations mainly in the connective tissue. Then we see the clinical symptoms. We know connective tissue like all over the body everywhere. So symptoms can cause different symptoms and different part of the body symptoms. So generally say we have some key symptoms. People fatigue, severe kind of fatigue, don't want to do anything, too tired. And then we can see some skin rashes on the cheeks area, over the nose. That's because the shape look like a butterfly. So sometimes we call it butterfly kind of rushing. If we go back last picture. So we just have half face in here, but mainly right area. In this area could be including the eyes and the other part. So that's why we call butterfly kind of skin rashes. And the small picture here, kind of butterfly here. So that's skin rushings, like usually we can see it immediately. Some people coming on their face, some butterfly kind of skin rushings there. And other symptoms, joints. Joints swollen and joint pain. They can go to multiple joints, not only one joint. They can go to multiple joints. And also can cause people headache. Also can cause the hair loss. And also can cause the blood disorder, anemia. Generally say blood belong to connective tissue also. Liquid kind of connective tissue. And also can cause the blood clotting kind of problems. And the people may be losing appetite and feel sick, and also can cause internal organs disorder, like can cause the kidney disorder, inflammation, can cause the flare. Flare is like a bag covered lung, inflammation in there, and producing a lot of fluid in the flare. So in that kind of case, patient will difficult breathing. And also can cause pericardial cavity, some inflammation. So pericardium is covered heart. If they got inflammation, the liquid fluid will be linking to it. And the people heartbeat faster, but still not have enough oxygen, so still short breath. And they also may cause some ulcers on the mouth and the nose. So lot of different symptoms we're talking about because they are attacking connective tissue and truly connective tissue all over the body, go to different organs. So they cause multiple different kind of symptoms. Then we're talking about Western medicine diagnosis for this illness. So basically, firstly, we have the symptoms, like we talked about before. Fever, arthritis, joint pain, and maybe some inflammation in the pleural cavity or pericardium, and maybe headache, skin rashes, especially butterfly kind of rashes. And the patient may be anemia, and maybe like a lot of bleeding spots all over the body, and also may cause the kidney disorder. So basically, these kind of patients coming with multiple kind of symptoms, not only single one. So it's not like today we learn like this illness, and tomorrow you got headache. You think about, oh, I may got that severe kind of disorder. It's not true. So patients must have multiple kind of different organ and systems disorder. Then they possible have this illness. Then go to blood test. So that's basically we still test firstly. There have a special test and so basically most patients, 98% patients, they will positive for this one. And then we still later still test for anti-DNA antibody. So this is 100% sure patient will have this illness. So that's special test for lupus. So basically, patient coming to our clinic, like for TCM clinic or acupuncture clinic, basically they will have pretty clear right diagnosis already. So we are not necessarily give patient to diagnosis, and certainly we are not able to give patient to diagnosis because we don't have laboratory test. But if patient coming with multiple symptoms, they didn't get the diagnosis before, we can recommend they go to GP, go to vice doctor to get a diagnosis, go to laboratory to diagnosis. For TCM practitioners, we are not give patient diagnosis for this illness. But when people coming back with clear diagnosis, or treatment can help. including TTM curves, including acupuncture. It can help. But the diagnosis, they still need Western medicine diagnosis. When we're talking about what's the Western medicine treatment for this illness. So generally speaking, if the illness is not that severe, and we can thinking use some anti-inflammatory kind of drugs. So that's basically can anti the inflammation, can reducing the like we're talking about skin rashes and maybe some joint pain. And also, the doctor found anti-malaria kind of drugs also can treat this kind of illness. So that's some people maybe use both. And certainly, if severe kind of case, like a lot of organs disorder, kidney affected, and maybe some pericarditis, pleura, some inflammation in there, maybe need cortisone kind of therapy. Hormone. Adrenal gland cortex part secrete 3 hormones there. Here is the one of the hormone. So that this hormone pretty effective anti-inflammation, any kind of inflammation. But they may cause the side effect. If patient long-term use it, I think you may see some people, big face, big body, but their arm and leg pretty thinner. So that kind of patient, if you ask, they may have some different kind of illness. Then they use cortisone for long term. Then they cause some side effects. So basically, this kind of drugs is better short-time use and truly we use for emergency kind of situation, like some severe kind of COVID-19 infection, got lung infections, and the people difficult breathing, oxygen levels in the blood very low, emergency kind of use. We can use this. So that's basically for Western medicine treatment. But generally say, just relieve the symptoms. It's hard to totally cure it because the reason caused the illness we are not clear yet. Like we're talking about this illness is the immunity systems against different organs of the body. So we treat some part relieve symptoms and then they are against again. They are attacking again. So basically, we just relieve the symptoms. It's not truly totally cured. So then we go to TTM to see what we can do for this illness. So in this illness category, basically, mainly problems happens in the skin. So that's basically we name a lot of illness name by the skin disorder. 红木蝶疮，红 is red. 木蝶 is butterfly kind of damage there. Or maybe we got some other illness name, look like a sunshine damage there. Or maybe some blood disorder there. So we have lot of illness name. And attacking the joints, we're still talking about 痹症. So we have lot of illness name for this one. If swollen edema, we call 水肿. But generally speaking, clinically, we just follow the key symptoms. Which part is the severe? And then we go to different parts. Thus, we say TCM. Yeah, TCM. Illness name may be different, but the pattern will be the same. When pattern the same, the treatment principle and the treatment plan will be the same. So we are not need to worry about the TCM illness name. And clinically, we can just follow Western medicine diagnosis illness name. And for TCM etiology, we're still talking about combination external reason and internal reason. Thus, we're talking about many times already. It's kind of losing balance. Externally, pathogen. Internally, 7 emotions can cause the illness. And maybe people overworking and irregular kind of eating and losing balance things can cause the illness. Then we're talking about the treatment. Treatment still by different pattern, we get different treatment plan. So then we go to different patterns here. The first pattern we're talking about the heat evil pattern. So heat can cause people fever. Usually it's high fever. Or maybe continually fever. So that's a lot of patients, they may have this illness. They start from fever. Like from the beginning, they got fever. They don't know what happened. They didn't have any idea. Just continually fever, not stop. So that's basically the first symptom for this illness. And then later on, we're talking about maybe some butterfly kind of face there. And also severe kind of case, maybe some blood blister. And gradually, the other symptoms show up. Muscle pain, joint pain, not only fever. And heat inside, disturbing patient's sleep, cause patient insomnia, and easily emotions. And heat damage body fluid, cause dry throat. And also possible cause the blood in the urine. Thus, red urine is not only heat. Heat damages blood vessels and causes bleeding in the urine. And certainly heat inside patient thirsty. And they try to drink cold water. And red everywhere. Red eyes, red lips, and maybe sores in the mouth and swollen tonsils. 通常是挠头鼻塞。Red tongue, or maybe let be pupil kind of tongue. Yellow tongue coating. The pulse certainly rapid and very, like a bit harder. So that's the pattern. Generally, we talk about heat level pattern. So treatment principle, clear heat, resolve toxin. Severe kind of heat, we call it heat toxin. And the severe heat can go to the blood. Thus, we're talking about cause bleeding problems. So we say cooling the blood. And the heat can make a blood stasis. We say heat damage the body fluid and make the blood more sticky. Sticky kind of blood is difficult to move. So that's the blood stasis coming from. So result blood stasis. So the formula we use, use 清温败毒饮。清 is clear. Wen is warm. So basically we separate the illness. One is warm kind of illness caused by heat pathogen. One is cold kind of illness caused by cold pathogen. So warm here means it caused by heat pathogen. Clear heat pathogen caused illness. 败毒 is toxin. 败 in here means relieve toxin. So that's clear heat, relieve toxin formula in just drinking of formula name. Sometimes we use sometimes we use tongue. Both yin and the tongue is liquid. And if we use one is the pill. One is the pill. So tongue is the same. Then we're talking about acupuncture treatment. Heat condition will not use for massage. Remember, especially excessive passenger heat in here will not use massage. But bleeding is a good way. Bleeding causes some blood coming out is truly a very good way to relieve excessive heat condition. That's usually used. So we can bleeding, acupoint 实穴, top of fingers. And certainly we can bleeding some gingival points. bleeding, yeah, bleeding, like heat go. Yeah, like heat go. Other points, LI4 help the Qi circulation moving inside and can relieve some pain. And bladder 40, water points in the foot Taiyang channel is pretty good for relieve heat. You can bleed it. You can needle it or bleed it. And pericardium 3. Still the water points. Yes, still the water points on the pericardium channel. Especially sometimes people have excessive heat inside. People difficult sleep, insomnia. We can use these points. And Dukan, clear heat. Yeah, clear heat. Certainly, you may have some other points you still can use, like a combination use LI11, you still can use 214, clear heat, you still can use. So we have lots of choice. So that's the heat pattern. Then we come into another pattern. Wind, damp heat pattern. So that's a combination like wind, damp heat evading. So wind here still means they carry other passengers going together. So generally say this pattern, the early stage usually is severe kind of joint pain. Multiple joints pain. Especially in the small joints, finger, toes, and ankles, and wristing area. And the moving kind of pain. Like today, my left side hand finger joints pain, next day moving to the right side. Or today on the right side, and next day go to the ankle. So moving kind of pain is the typical symptoms, evading by wind pattern. And the patient still have fever and some heat sense, dries out, and thirsty, sores, and painful on the muscles. And cause the limbs weakness. What means weakness there? So basically, they could use their limbs feel pretty heavy, weaker and heavy, and possible joint swollen. So that's the symptom. That means dry tongue, still heat, yellow tongue coating, still heat. The pulse still possible rapid, but sleepy. Sleepy pulse is coming from the dummy. And still very pulse because patients still have painful situation, cause blood moving not that smoothly. So that's the very pulse coming from. Treatment principle: dispersing wind and relieve the dampness and the heat. So the formula we use: 独活寄生汤. Tang, we say tang in the same meaning, is liquid like we cooking for decoctions. 独活 is one herb's name. It's pretty good relieve dumbness. 寄生 another herb's name. 桑寄生 which is shortly called 寄生. So certainly these two herbs is the king herb in the formula. We have some other herbs inside, but basically this formula is remove some dumbness and external passenger immunity, wind dumbness. Acupuncture, we still clear heat, LI11. Clear heat, 214. And remove dumbness, stomach 9. Certainly we can add in spin 9, we can add in stomach 40. And we can select some local points, like to see which patients' joints have disorder. We select some points there, like artery points. Local artery points. That's generally for this pattern. Then we're still talking about heat pattern. Heat damages qi and yin. The first two patterns generally say is excessive pattern only. Passenger evading from externally. But if the passengers drop, or maybe long term, or maybe patients originally constitutions kind of deficiency there, that kind of heat pretty easily damage body zheng qi and yin. So these patterns belong to mixed pattern, excessive and deficiency. So the symptoms, heat little bit severe, and people sweating, and also may have some organs disorder, like a palpitation, like a chest pressure, and the patient short breath. Short breath is key deficiency. People maybe cough especially damages lung function, and maybe insomnia, heat inside. The limbs may be pupil. We say heat damage body fluid can cause blood moving, not that smoothly, then cause the stasis. So pupil color is the blood stasis kind of color. But the terminal area for lip may be cold or chill. So thus energy is not moving smoothly. Heat not moving smoothly. Some part is pretty hard, some part still cold. And then they will more weaker there. The pulse more show up is deficiency pulse, thin and weaker, or even sometimes got intermittent pulse. So regular intermittent means likely jumping 5 times, then stop once, another 5 times jumping, then stop once. That means regular. We have some irregular intermittent pulse, like jumping 2 times, stop once, then jumping 5 times, stop once, then jumping another 4 times, stop once. So that means irregular intermittent. But regular intermittent means they jumping the same time, then stop once, same time, stop once. But whatever, both belong to heart function is damaged. Tongue is pale color, thus usually is different color of cold. So that's basically we say this part usually is most severe kind of organ damaged part. Maybe damaged heart or damaged lung or maybe damaged nervous system. So it's more severe kind of part. Then our treatment principle clear heat and nourishing in and tonify qi and calming the spirit because patient may have shen disorder. So this time we use two formulas together. The first one we call 炙甘草汤. 炙甘草 is one herb name, but 炙甘草汤 we have a lot of herbs in it. This formula mainly treats patient heart qi with heart in deficiency kind of disorder. You can see the ingredients later to see what's herbs in there. But truly, for patients have heart disorder, especially cause the intermittent pulse, whatever, regular or irregular kind of intermittent pulse, we can think about the 炙甘草. And plus 泻心汤. 泻 is purging. 心 is heart. So some heat go to the heart to relieve heat. So that means we relieve passenger with tonified heart at the same time. That's marching or pattern. Acupuncture. Yeah, acupuncture. Yuan Shao's points of the lung. When people qi deficiency, we always think about tonified lung qi. And kidney 7. Kidney 7 is nourishing yin. And stomach 36 generally qi blood tonified. PT6 can clear some heat from the heart. And Li4 help qi moving. And stop we talking about. This condition, like we talked about before, question mark for Maxa. If patients still have severe kind of heat in there, we are not Maxa. But if patient mainly difference, we can pick up some points to Maxa. Maxa is more nourishing and tonified, but it just generates some heat. Then we go to the pattern. Liver qi stagnation, and then generate some heat. Especially go to liver channel area. So that's we talking about liver area, some painful in there, hypochondria area. We talking about hypochondria area and the rib side, and maybe go to the chest. liver issue pretty easily attacking middle hill. That causes abdominal distension or even painful. Liver issue also attacking upper hill. That causes heart disorder, like insomnia or sometimes even palpitation. And the liver issue patient easily angry emotions. And the liver qi stagnation changing to heat. Severe kind of heat, possible damage blood vessels. So that's even sometimes maybe cause bleeding disorder. And the liver channel go to genital area, affected of the menstruation, maybe cause the painful menstruation or maybe no menstruation, or maybe irregular menstruation. So lot of also. Tongue is kind of flashing red, flashing red, and maybe with yellow dry coating. The pulse, generally say mostly is very pulse and rapid, but possible get some thin or thin pulse because still heat long term will damage body fluid. So that's generally say. So these pattern commonly we can see people use medication for some long term and easily can see these patterns. And these kind of patients usually blood pressure is higher. And also if we physical checking for the patient, they may have enlarging physical liver and spleen, and the liver and the spleen functions may be damaged. Then we're talking about the treatment principle for this one. So certainly we need soothing the liver and clear heat and still cool, moving the blood, cooling blood, and remove blood stains. So the formula we use 一贯间 plus 四妙永安汤. That's two formula names. I believe these two formula both is Japanese. 一贯间 is mainly like clear heat and nourishing liver in. And 四妙永安 clear some external pathogen and moving blood. So combination together. Acupuncture, yeah. So generally say this pattern still heat pattern. We may still not use for massage. The points we use 3-6, 3 in channel meeting points. And nourishing samin. Li4 moving T and also stop and pain. And liver 2 still moving T. So usually we say liver 3 combination with Li4 together. We call 4 gates. means these 4 points we use together, like open a full door and like all the T circulations around the body. So that's basically we talk about. But if patient have heat condition, we can use liver 2 instead of liver 3. That's more clear heat, but we still can call it focus. Still similar function, plus clear heat. And then gallbladder 34. Soothing liver tea, clear heat from the liver also. So that's basically acupuncture for this pattern. So let's move in next pattern. Indifferency and with heat. So that's basically it's more go to differency pattern. Long-term disorder and the patient body zhengqi is damaged and yin damaged. Patient will have low fever and 5 central heat that we talking about the indifferency. And right on the face, right cheeks, night sweating. So generally indifferency symptoms, generally weaker. And the skin damage area is red or pale red. And also patients still possible have joint pain. And maybe dizziness, vertigo, tinnitus, and dry in the mouth, dry in the limbs, and still possible have red urination, dry stool, and menstruation disorder, irregular. Tongue is red without coating, that's indifferency heat in there. The pulse, the thin rapid pulse, mainly. So that's basically this pattern we can see with acute condition, but the patient have underlying body deficiency, indifferency, or maybe like a chronic pattern. But truly, patient have indifferency. Treatment principle, we say all body yin and yang coming from the kidney axis. So yin deficiency with still tonified kidney and nourishing yin, and some deficiency heat in there we still can clear heat. The formula we use 大补阴丸，大 is bigger, 补 is tonified, yin just yin, yeah. Big tonified yin. Pills, 1 is pill. Plus 四物汤。四物汤 4 herbs in there for blood tonify. So that's blood tonify formula. So blood belong to yin. Acupuncture, kidney yin nourishing tonify kidney 7. And the kidney yin deficiency pretty easily cause the heart and the kidney disharmonized. So heart 6, heart yin nourishing tonify. And the back row of the kidney, bladder 23, and the kidney 2. Kidney 2 is the fair points on the kidney, so we can clear some heat from there. And still in deficiency, we talked about a few times. To see patient's severe deficiency, not too stronger heat, we still can use maxa. But heat too strong, maybe we are not use maxa. or maybe we pick up a couple points on lower part of body, short time marked on there. Then we're talking about the Qi stagnation and the blood stasis pattern. Qi not moving, blood not moving. So that's Qi and blood both stagnation. So pupil kind of color. So that's we specially use the words. Usually these words were usually common use in Western medicine. But kind of pupil red in there. It's generally say the symptoms, low oxygen level. So on the terminal area and the skin, even pupil, more pupil color in the air because blood stasis and the skin losing nourishing. Gala kind of skin or quark kind of skin. That's coming from skin losing nourishing. And still can have joints and muscles. And the patient also have emotions because still Qi not moving, blood not moving. And menstruation disorder, irregular kind of menstruation. And maybe painful period, maybe no period. Tail tongue, blood stasis. And under the tongue, if we look in the vein there, enlarging and also pupil contraction. So that's basically this pattern. We can combination with some other patterns, but generally it's chronic pattern, long-term problem. The formula, the treatment principle, we need moving blood without blood stasis. The formula we used, 血府毒鱼汤 modified. 血 is blood. 府 like we're talking about 脏腑, yeah, the host there. 逐鱼 remove stasis. 鱼 is stasis. So that's the typical formula, moving blood without blood stasis for internal organs, for 脏腑 organ. This formula is development from 桃红素汤. Yeah, we're talking about 桃红素汤 before. 桃红素汤 is the general formula for blood stasis. These formulas especially for internal 脏腑 organ blood stasis. And we have some other formulas still coming from 桃红素汤. They go to special part of body, like 阁下逐鱼汤. Zhu the same Zhu remove stasis here. Ge is diaphragm. Xia is below. Below diaphragm, some blood stasis there. We can specially go to like liver blood stasis, upper abdominal blood stasis there. And we also have 少腹毒鱼汤. The same 毒鱼, yeah, 少腹毒鱼汤. That's basically lower abdominal area. Yeah, 少, we have 少阳, yeah, small yang, yeah, 腹 still internal organ. That's basically treat gynecology kind of problems, blood status. So that we have some formula, especially working for blood status. And acupuncture, certainly we can go to spring 6, but maybe you better adding spring 10, moving blood. Even your brother 17. That's especially moving blood. So that's and then we bladder 17 here we can put it together. And Li4 moving Qi. Certainly you can add in liver 3 together. Moving Qi. And do 10. Yeah, do 10 basically help blood and Qi moving also. So that's for this pattern. When we talking about the pattern, difference pattern, both speed and kidney difference. Speed and kidney holding body, whole body yang qi. When they have difference, usually they will have cold body, cold limbs. But the patients still possible have low degree kind of fever, but generally weaker, don't want to speak, no appetite, or maybe abdominal distension, or even severe case, vomiting, diarrhea. Face is yellow kind of color, and the patient have a lower back and knee weakness, and the joints swollen, painful, or even possible edema. And the clear kind of big amount of urination, or maybe couldn't control the urine. So basically, you put the three symptoms and the kidney symptoms together. So that we talking about both spleen and kidney deficiency. Pale tongue and sometimes teeth mark on the side of the tongue. And the pulse, deficiency pulse, surging the same with soft. Thin pulse, deficiency pulse. So that's for these patients. So that's truly this pattern patient will have kidney disorder. So treatment principle always say tonify the kidney and tonify the spleen. And warming yang relieve actual kind of water. The formula we use 肾气丸。肾气丸 we talked about a few times already. 肾 is kidney, 丸 is health. So 肾气丸 we have 金匮肾气丸。That's mainly for kidney yang tonified. These patients mainly kidney yang deficiency. And plus 四君子汤，四君子汤 is qi tonified formula. 4 herbs inside. 人参、白术、茯苓草、甘草。So that's kidney yang and qi tonified formula together. The acupoints, so these are good for maxa. Yeah, good for maxa. and acupuncture needles. Yuan south points of the kidney, kidney 3, 关元 or 元气 located area, that's ren 4. Stomach 36, generally Qi blood 25, and spleen 9 relieve some extra water. Certainly, we have lot of other points we can use, like a factory point. Bladder 20, factory of the spleen, and bladder 23, factory of the kidney, or even do 4 kidney yang points, especially we can mark that there. So we have lot of choice for 25 points. Then the pattern, heart and spleen, both different. So that's basically the illness damage the heart. It usually happens in the later stage. Patient may have heart palpitations and also chest pressure there, and also short breath and sweating, but the lymph is cold. And also insomnia, dreams, that's all the heart symptoms there. And the patient still low fever. Remember, fever is one of the symptoms of this illness. And fatigue, poor appetite, abdominal distension, and don't want to speak. So some key deficiency symptoms, losing stool. So just put heart symptoms and spleen symptoms together. That's heart and spleen, both deficiency pattern. So still pale tongue, and maybe let it be larging, and the pulse, weaker pulse. Possible rapid, and the possible cause some intermittent pulse. That's special some symptoms of the heart. So treatment principle, we say tonify heart and spleen and nourishing the blood. So typically formula we use Guipitang. Guipitang very commonly used still in CTCM list. And 天王补心丹, that's specially hard tonify formula. So these ones still in CTCM list. And clinically still pretty commonly used formula. So both Qi and blood tonify. So these pattern we still can use for massage and with needles. We can go to Yuan south points of the heart. We can go to generally Qi tonify, blood tonify, stomach 36 there. And certainly we have a lot of tonify points, like backroom points, ren points, we can use. So we have a lot of points we can choose. Then we go to the pattern, liver and spleen disharmony. Still happens in the later stage when they damage the liver and the spleen. So like some chest pain and hypochondria air distension pain in there. And usually people maybe have large, like a liver or maybe poor appetite, don't want to eat too much, and maybe nausea, vomiting, abdominal distension, diarrhea, even jaundice. And still can cause menstruation disorders, irregular menstruation, or no menstruation. So 老套是 symptoms. Tongue is kind of darker. And the pulse is very pulse thinner. So long-term damage is damage body 脏腑 function and damage 整体。So our treatment principle, we soothing the liver and tonify the spleen and harmonize the middle jaw. The formula we use, I think you are pretty familiar with this one. 逍遥散 plus that's specially formula working soothing liver tea and working for liver attacking middle jaw disorder. We have a lot of ketone herbs inside, but we soothing the liver. Some people call this one happy pills. Yeah, liver tea stagnation. Use this one. Certainly, we can modify from there, including patient's condition. We can put more herbs in there. And the acupuncture treatment, truly, we are pretty good use for 4 days to moving tea. But we still use some points to tonify, especially for middle jaw, spleen, stomach. That's some basic points there. You can add in more, certainly. Then we're talking about pattern. Liver wind. Liver wind, disturbing internally, internal wind. So this pattern is very severe kind of disorder. Later stage, very severe kind of disorders. And these patterns, patients can have truly have high fever. And a lot of heat signs, restless, angry, and even emotions, cry, and possible convulsion. Convulsion is the internal wind syndrome or seizures, both internal wind problems. And the patient, mental confusion, or even possible hemi paralysis, like couldn't moving the limbs and couldn't control the urine, like urine retention or incontinence kind of urine, like drip of the urine. Tongue is red or darker, usually no coating, or maybe some yellow coating there. Pulse is very pulse, rapid, or maybe thin pulse. It's depending patient's originally body condition. But truly, this pattern is more severe kind of pattern. So we need to clear the liver and distinguish the wind and calming the spirit. So the formula we use 羚羊钩藤汤 plus 加点。羚羊 we use for 羚羊角 the whole of the 羚羊。钩藤 is the herb specially working for internal vein. We talking about 天麻钩藤饮 before. 天麻钩藤饮 still working for internal vein condition, but 羚羊 here more clear some heat. Certainly, we still can modify the from 天麻钩藤饮. So that's the formula we use for this condition. The points we use liver 3, you still can use with LFO together, soothing the liver. Gallbladder 20, internal vein, external vein, we both can use. So that's the main points. And gallbladder 34, we can help in soothing liver tea from the gallbladder. And I11, clear heat. Certainly this part usually we still not use so much. So that's we have 10 patterns in this illness. Truly, this illness is a pretty complicated illness. They make combination by different patterns together. When we're talking about, we try to separate, to talking about different patterns and make it a little bit clear. But truly, clinically, most case is combination pattern. T blood insufficiency and some heat inside, and maybe with liver T stagnation and even blood stasis. So clinically, we need to see the symptoms, and then we make our treatment principle and the treatment plan to treat. So that's basically we say we can modify or adding more herbs for special kind of symptoms by different patterns. So that's basically for this